Let me get my thing up on the laptop, see if that'll work. Give me a sec. Just trying to refresh here. Make sure it's showing up. Cool. Save. All right, cool. So, so I'm using the good lens or the camera, but it means I can't see what's on it. I can only see if it's on my laptop. Well, anyway, while that's spinning up, I hope that it does spin up. I got a couple packages that I want to open and discuss. And yeah, that's it. Just a little beautiful afternoon here in Western Oregon, and say hi to Bella. It's frustrating. My laptop's not cooperating. It says if playback doesn't begin shortly, try restarting your device. I don't want to restart the device. Try reloading the screen. You need to be mindful of the not great lighting. Let me turn on another couple of lights in here just to somewhat counteract the glare from the windows. Still not doing it for me. Frustrating. So I'm not shooting in particularly normal space. In the process, I'm trying to keep the mess out of the shot, but the living room is in some disarray, but I'm working on, some stuff here. Friend Chris gave me a nice new rack, which is new to me, but not new. And he also gave me a box with something interesting in it to try out for the channel. And I got a box today with a new copy of this record. Gentle Giant's In a Glass House. So, I'm gonna kill this fan. I meant to do that. Sorry for the background noise. Ooh, how's that? Is that better? Ooh, I hope so. Oh, this is very frustrating. I may need to do some stuff here. It's I'm just gonna go ahead and follow the earlier advice and shut everything down and restart the old laptop. And it is a very old laptop. Sorry about this. Should have done this earlier. All right, well, I'm not gonna put the whole thing on hold here so that I can wait for that to start back up, but because I just want to get moving here. Here's my new package. I'm pretty sure this is the new remix of In a Glass House, and I'm pretty excited about it. I don't necessarily expect that everybody here is familiar with Gentle Giant, but you probably know that I'm a big fan of Gentle Giant from way back in the day. I suppose I really started listening to Gentle Giant in about 1975, I think. I think that's when Freehand came out, and I think that's when my brothers started listening to Gentle Giant. And I was 8. And they were, no, I didn't necessarily know they were one of my favorite bands back then, because I didn't necessarily know their name. Hold on a sec. Remembered the right password on the third try. Dum-dee-dum-dee-dum. Anyway, I can legitimately say I've been listening to Gentle Giant since Freehand came out in 1975. I think that's right. Of course, there would have been a hiatus between when my brothers went off to college and I started buying my own records. Probably Freehand was the first one that I bought. And I don't think that's because Freehand was the first Gentle Giant album I ever listened to. I think it's just because I remembered the name of the band, and that's the one that I saw available on that day that I was in the record store. In Fayetteville, Arkansas, there wasn't a whole lot of used Gentle Giant albums or new ones floating around. And all right, let's try this again. Oh, looky there, that's me. Make sure I kill the sound. All right. No, I think it's going. Well, we'll see. Whew, stood up too fast. Not sure how far behind I am on here. Looks like it's lagged behind quite a bit, but should be able to see your chats if you put them in. All right. Anyway, back to my box. If you don't know anything about Gentle Giant, or if you do, I'll just go ahead and talk a little bit about this particular album. So, In a Glass House was, well, it's the album that came out after Octopus and before Power and the Glory. And it wasn't released in the US. Apparently the record company in the US decided that it sucked and they didn't release it. And so everybody who got one in the US had to get it as an import. And so I only obtained, my copy of the original release relatively recently. It was in one of my local record stores. They hadn't even stocked it or priced it yet. They were, the record store owner and one of the employees were talking about, how they'd just gotten a couple of boxes of records that they'd bought, and they said something about there being a lot of prog, and I asked any Gentle Giant, and I asked specifically about this album, and I paged through, and sure enough, this was in there. Now, I probably should have also I saw right behind it, there was a copy of Octopus with the UK Roger Dean cover. I only have the 80s re-release of Octopus with the US cover, but not even the cutout sleeve. So I kind of wish I'd bought that because somebody else did. But I did get this, and this was the last album by them that I didn't have that I really wanted. Now, since then, I bought The Missing Piece, which is not an album I've always wanted. I'm glad I have it, but it's not up to the quality of the previous albums. And but I gotta say, I was a little disappointed, and I have been a little disappointed with this album. I liked the songs. I liked the excerpts, or I liked the bits of In a Glass House that were on the live album, Playing the Fool. And I like this album okay. Sorry, I'm looking at something that's on my couch that I believe my dog left me there, which I wish she hadn't. And I'm feeling my butt to see if I sat in it. Anyway, I've kind of always. I did have a download of this album, and so I had been listening to it before I got the physical copy. But I never thought it really sounded all that good. There was something about it that it just didn't you know, that previous and later releases just, you know, the production quality was better, and I don't know if it was the songs or what, but well, turns out that this album was produced in kind of a rush. Wow, I'm like minutes behind on here. Anyway, turns out this album was kind of produced in a bit of a rush. Gentle Giant did do their own production after, I think after the second album, they did all their own production. And they were in a bit of a hurry on this one, and the production wasn't that great, and they were never all that psyched about it. They also didn't ever, they also, whatever, for whatever reason, didn't have the original tapes, not the master, but they never had the original track, you know, multi-tracks in order to remix it. So, you know, whereas Steven Wilson has gone in and remixed, I think, all of the other Gentle Giant albums, he never did this one because they didn't have the multi-tracks. Well, what with AI technology, Derek Schulman and I forget who he collaborated with to do it, were able to create multi-tracks from the master with the help of AI. And then they remixed it and remastered it, and that's what's in this box over here. So, now the bits that I have heard, like, I don't know, on Instagram, YouTube, or what have you, it's sounded, I think it sounds dramatically better than the original, but I thought it would be cool to get out the brand new one, put it on the old ARXA and the Macintosh preamp and the Adcom power amp and the Design Acoustics speakers, and just do a quick comparison. How much better does this sound than the original? So, wow, here we are. In a Gentle Giant in a Glass House 2026 remixed and remastered limited edition clear vinyl LP on the Alucard, forget how they pronounce that label. That's their own label now. I believe Alucard is is their own label on which they've been releasing the Steven Wilson remixes as well. Oh, it's different. It's like it's a mirror. It's like a mirror image of the original. Interesting. Anybody have a great way to open shrink wrap on LPs? Got the scissors, but it always makes me a little nervous taking a blade to an album. Where do people come down on removing shrink wrap? I pretty much always remove the shrink wrap. And I think the reason is because it's shrink wrap. and this is what I've heard. This is what I heard once a long time ago. I don't know if it's exactly true. It seemed reasonable at the time that shrink wrap might continue to shrink if you submit your record to the wrong sorts of conditions out of heat, and that shrinks too much, it might warp your record. Well, this is nice. So I believe on this one it's fully removable. So we can see them clearly. Oh, nice. It's got a sleeve with lyrics. Nice. The original, pretty sure doesn't have that. Well, I threw away the original inner sleeve. It wasn't anything special. Oh no, I didn't throw it away. It's here, it's just, there is nothing special about it. Doesn't have lyrics, that's for sure. So this was on their old label WWA, Worldwide Artist, something like that. And I guess the story is that WWA was basically stealing from them and the other artists that were on that label. Artists that included Black Sabbath, Gentle Giant were able to buy out their contract for, I don't know, I think it was $100,000 at the time. Black Sabbath had a much harder time of it. But it was the band, Gentle Giant and Black Sabbath toured together, and it was Gentle Giant guys in Gentle Giant that clued in the guys in Black Sabbath that they were getting robbed. Gentle Giant, or Black Sabbath, had a particularly awful deal. They were getting paid basically nothing, but made to think like they were getting paid because, they had the limos and whatnot, but the band didn't own any of it. Alright, original. Let's hear the original first. And I don't know, I'll probably get demonetized, at least on the review, but whatever. I'm not going to worry about it. Okay. Sometimes you gotta give the old XA a little push. I'm thinking I might, I've done, uh, I put out some videos on this turntable and with this turntable, but I haven't given a whole lot of my opinion on how it sounds and how it is to own and operate. So I thought I might do that. I can give you some of those impressions right now. It's I've enjoyed it as a turntable. I think it sounds pretty good. I've got 2 other belts for it that I should probably give some break-in time to. So to me, it's always just sounded a bit muddy, and I think, the band agrees with that, which is why they were really wanting to remix and remaster it. So let's hear the new version. I love new sleeves, new records, static. God, I hate trying to get records out of these paper sleeves. And static is just causing them to cling. Jesus. Literally pulling on it without pulling, you know, using my finger in the hole. Jesus. I hate this. Should have brought up a new sleeve. Jesus Christ. Well, it's beautiful. Very clear vinyl. Okay. Nice label. Yeah, interesting that usually when I need to give it a little nudge, it's when I first turn it on after it hasn't been playing for a while. I wonder if either of the other belts that I have might do the same thing, although, notice that this belt didn't do that at the beginning. Only after it's broken in for a while. This is the belt that I got from Vinyl Nirvana. And I asked the guy if he'd give it to me for free, but he said no. Still, I'll need to work on that. On a video about the different belts that I got. Not sure I have a whole lot to say is the problem. Anyway. Alright. Let's hear what the new one sounds like. I like vocals are coming through way more prominently in the mix. It's still sounding a little bassy in the beginning. But once the sort of higher notes come in, they do sound really nice and clear. And more sort of going on with the stereo, you can sort of hear a little bit bigger, there's a bigger sound stage. I mean, I guess that's just a way of saying really, there's more stereo separation, there's more different things going on either side. You can place this instrument over here and that instrument over there more clearly, and I would imagine that's on purpose. All right, well that was neat, that's fun. Just gonna put the dust cover on there. I'll play it for myself all the way through later. But right now I wanted to open a box, another box. This wasn't shipped to me. This one was, uh-oh, my dog needs to go out. Hey girl, you need to go outside, sweet girl. You need to go out. Outside. No? What was the wooflet? I heard a wooflet. Are you woofleting at something? Sweet girl. I don't know. All right, well, let's check out what's in this other box. I put it on Bella's bed. She's probably kind of not psyched about that, if I would guess. Little girl. Plus I put stuff on the couch so she can't really go there. Plus she spit up some food on the couch. All right, so Chris was like, so what are you doing on the channel? Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, no, I'm just, doing whatever. Not really anything particular in the works. And he said, well, I thought maybe you'd like to do a video on whether, should you buy a vintage DAC? And I was like, oh, really? He's like, yeah, that DAC that I had sitting on the stand that I just gave you, thought maybe you might want to borrow that for a while. I'm not really using it. I will never sell it, but I'm not using it. Okay. I don't have anything to plug it into in this particular system right now. So I won't be doing so, but I will be showing you, speaking upon this DAC just a little bit. It's heavy. It's, I forget how old, oh, what does it mean? It's heavy. Alright, where should I put this? We've only got this one spot. Set to fix the shot. Sorry about the backlighting. It's not awesome at all. I don't really have another great option. Hmm. 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 All right. Well, anyway, this is the Sonic Frontiers Incorporated SFD1 Mark II digital processor. You got coax, optical ST, and optical TOS inputs. So pretty simple, just on-off switch, choose among 3 different inputs, and then a switch for phase, 0 or 180 degrees out of phase, or essentially inverted, I guess. It has a tube output stage. What else did he tell me about it? It's got a ladder. I believe he said it's got a ladder R2R DAC in it, and tube output. These are inputs. Optical, it looks out of date, doesn't it? There's coax input, but it's got an XLR. That's weird because the front panel says it's 2 different optical inputs, and that's not optical. Okay, well anyway, and it's got RCA and XLR outputs. Cool. What do I want to try this out with? Well, I've got a few devices to try it out with. None of them are up here right now. I've got a couple of different streamers that I could try it with. I got a CD player, my Sony CD player, that has a digital output that I could try it with. So I will probably be putting this in my system downstairs, where I can also try both the optical, or both the RCA and the XLR outputs. Yeah. Make sure I keep this cable with it. Got these Nutric Profi connectors. Yeah, so I'm trying to remember anything else Chris told me about it. He's probably going to be like, I told you all sorts of cool stuff about it. But I'll have to read up on it, and I'll do that. Let's see, this would have, I think if you can find one of these today, this would cost you $800 or $900 today, if you could find one. And back in the day, and I can't remember now what that day was and what Chris said it would have sold for back then. I think more than $800 or $900, because I don't think it came out all that long ago, but I want to say it came out in the 90s. Anyway, can't remember, and I don't have any literature handy, so I'll have to look that stuff up and get back to you when I feature this in a video. So yeah, I think that's, well, let's get a better, I'll bring the camera over and we can get a little better close-up of this DAC, because this picture right now kind of sucks. Come on, let go. Okay, so yes, Sonic Frontiers. And there's the front panel. And if we sort of peek inside, we can glimpse that there are tubes in there. I believe those are of the 6DJ8 family of tubes, and there's 2 of them. So that means a couple of twin triodes. And of course other stuff. Ooh, wow, look at all those capacitors. Anyway, we'll have some fun with this. You know what? You know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking, don't turn it on. Take it apart. And I do actually have my little driver set right here. All right, let me get the tripod situated so we can give this a proper uncovering and not just unboxing, but unveiling interior. Dun, 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 dun. Missing a screw, Chris. Yeah, it's funny. We're spent a afternoon and early evening, afternoon and evening with Chris up in his house, which is a bit of a drive, so have to spend some time just hanging out, listening to records. And as I was leaving, we talked some more. And oh, by the way, you want to take this DAC? Like I said, Chris is not a collector like I kind of am. I don't really consider myself a collector, but compared to him, I kind of am in that, I'll keep pieces around for a while without the intention of selling them anytime soon, even if I'm not using them. But he generally does not do that. Doesn't have, I think he's just got two systems, one in his home office and one in his living room. And if he's got gear that doesn't have a place in either of those systems, then he's typically going to sell it. Which is, I think the dog does want out. Pardon me. A good girl. You are a good girl. Yeah, so I mean, that's not an unusual thing. That if you're not using gear, what the hell? Not back in already? Weirdo. What's your problem? Don't you know I'm doing a live stream? Good girl. Yeah, anyway. He'll even find a buyer for gear before he even, like, well, I mean, I don't think he doesn't generally, I think he doesn't necessarily generally sell his stuff directly to consumers. He's generally going to sell his stuff to a place like Jesus, I'm blanking on the name. Same place where I bought my preamp, my audio research preamp. All right, let's check it out. Oh, I missed a screw. Might glue this label back down for Chris if it comes to it. Alright, let's wow. It's rather impressive interior. I'm thinking these have been replaced. They don't fit flush on the circuit board. And what are they? I don't recognize the branding on them. Anyway, here's our tube 1 and tube 2. And yes, 2 transformers. Oops, sorry guys. Can be adapted to run. So right now it's got a jumper so that it operates with 100 to 120 volts. But if you take that jumper out and put in jumper here, then you get 200 volts, 240 volts operation. Warning, high voltage present on circuit board. Yeah, because tubes generally use high voltage. And what else? What can I guess what I'm wondering about is what the 2 transformers are for. They look similar. And so, for example, I've got an old Sony CD player that has 2 transformers, one for the digital side and one for the analog side. And it might be the same kind of thing here. You see some pretty big heat sinks on this power supply. I'm assuming that's a power supply chip. Lighting's not good, I can't tell. Typically that's going to be a linear power supply. Let's see if I can improve the light. No, that was not an improvement. Oh well. All right, so got looks like power supply stuff over here. We've got a circuit board. What do we say? What does this label say? This is Sonic Frontiers D20400A6025 Ultra Analog 20-bit DAC. And I guess there's a big old, is that a big old integrated circuit right there? Not sure, seems likely. Got a number of integrated circuits on this separate board that's up here. How's that even mounted? So it's got a couple of holes here for maybe standoffs and whatnot, but they're not used. Okay, it's actually mounted through these pins and these pins. And those are the only things supporting it. See if I might vaguely recognize any of the chips. No, I'm not gonna hazard a guess as to what those are. It's got another pretty big hunkin' thing here, which, again, I don't know exactly what that is. Looks like it must be some kind of integrated circuit though. Bunch of big film capacitors here. Yeah. All the same value, 0.56 microfarads, and then these big film caps. Which look like they were added later to replace whatever was there before. because they're not, the circuit board isn't designed to fit them. And then whoever's done this is sort of rigged extra length leads on here. Done a good job. I mean, perfectly fine job as far as I can tell. No problem there. Just that is a pretty good indication that those are not original. Yeah, pretty neat. So interesting, just an interesting mix of solid state and tube technology here, and digital and analog technology. Well, this will be fun to try and learn about. Anyway, thought I'd give you all a peek. And Anthony Jackson, but it's not AR. Anyway, this is the FD1 digital processor by Sonic Frontiers, and yeah, I mean it was I there could be a number of different reasons why you'd have different transformers. What's sort of perplexing me is that you go, well, okay, I mean, but you need a high voltage supply for the tubes at least, so, but a higher voltage transformers, just in general, I would figure would look different from the transformer you might need for other stuff. So is it digital and analog? Is it dual mono? Dual mono doesn't seem all that likely, but I don't know. I mean, do they look identical? They kind of do. They kind of look identical. They have the same number of pins. Oh wait, here we go. No, that's just the fuse. I mean, they kind of look identical, but I'm kind of figuring that this one goes to this bit of power supply circuitry, and this one goes to this bit of power supply circuitry, and they're not identical bits of power supply circuitry. So yeah, I don't think it's a dual mono kind of thing, but I don't know if it's like a digital analog. Digital and analog seems like the most likely sort of thing to do here. Anyway, kind of cool, kind of nifty. I'll go ahead and give you a better view of the back. Let's get this off. So I wonder, given what it says on the front, I wonder if this is not an original input. I thought it was going to have like a Toslink type optical on the back. Instead I see an XLR. And if you look at the input circuit board, I don't know if it gives us any clue at all. I mean, there are a number of spots on the circuit board that are vacant. And so that might be an indication that it's been retrofitted, modded to, you know, like the whatever optical type circuitry is taken out. Because here you see there's the, over here, that's the optical input. And so that's probably the thing there that's going to convert optical into electrical. And looks like there is a spot on, yeah, there's a spot over here for a similar sort of device that's not there. And so I think it looks to me like this has just been, you've just put an XLR on there and it's jumpered over to the outputs on this board. I think this one linked up to the ground tab on the RCA, which also goes down to here. Yep, so it's been modded. Interesting. Yeah, I'm unfamiliar with optical inputs in general, but I've never seen an optical input like that one. I've seen the Toslink type optical inputs, you know, like the one that's on the back of my TV over here. Let's see. Sorry guys, but yeah, like this here. That's a Toslink optical output. No, I'll have to look and see if that TV has a coax output. But anyway, there we are. Yeah, I'm unfamiliar with doing digital inputs with an XLR, but I don't know. Must be a thing if somebody modded it. Made in Canada. Yeah, my impression from Chris is that it'd be very hard to replace this. Yeah, it's very, very generous of him to trust me with it. Very trusting of him. I mean, he knows I have nice things that I don't ruin, so still. Let's get a bit of a better view of the inside here. Well, and with that, I think that's enough. I just thought it'd be cool to show you this stuff. Show off my new things. Well, my one new thing and the borrowed thing. Um, and there will definitely be more coming up on that DAC. Don't know when exactly. We'll see. Not too long, I hope, but we'll see. I'll have to do a little research and some listening. Chris was asking whether I had hooked it up yet, and I was like, yeah, no, because I've been getting this new living room system put together. I'll go ahead and give you a bit more close up on that. How about that before we go? And saying, it's been a long time since I listened to records in my living room, and so that's been fun. So here's the ARXA. It's been working very nicely for me. And then I've got the Macintosh C28 that I'm using as the preamp. So I had the Sansui 880 up here, 880, 881. Anyway, and it's like, with rack space, not limited to one device, and I think this one wouldn't even fit in the space where I had the Sansui before. And so I figured, well, let me bring up the Mac and the Adcom power amp. This is the GFA 545 Mark II. It's 100 watts per channel. Very, very nice power amp. Not beautiful or anything, just very good. The Mac is sure pretty. And the only other thing I've got here is the Xbox and of course the TV. Oh, wait, but there's the streamer back there. Well, okay, so that's the Raspberry Pi Pi-Core player streamer. What do you call it? Solid state memory storage, and my homemade super quiet power supply with two different outputs, one for the DAC hat and one for the Raspberry Pi beneath it. I think my dog needs to go out. So maybe I will simply bid you adieu and talk to y'all later. Cheers.